All right. Hi, everyone. Uh, so we were asking what were your favorite books, and I see some people were sharing where you're from. Please go ahead and put where you're from and what some of your favorite books were as a kid, or what your favorite books were have been in your programs to use as an educator with your kids and your programs. Feel free to share those. Oh, I see Little House on the Prairie. That could be for both, right? Either when you're a kid. Yeah, Shel Silverstein. Oh, mixed up files of Mrs. Baisley Frankweiler. I gotta say that that was one of my absolute favorites. I had a very worn out copy of Mrs. Baisley Frankweiler. I read that book over and over. It made me want to go to the Met. And I finally got to go there. It was like a dream bucket list trip when I was a kid. To Kill a Mockingbird. These are good. Monster at the end of the book. These are good examples. I love this. We probably all have a long list. We've been around books so long, we could probably talk about this forever. Well, I love this because it means that this is a great theme for a power hour. I've been really excited about this one. We have a great power hour today. A actually variety of genres, even with our three speakers. And I'm really excited. So I'm Elizabeth Choice. I'm the Senior Manager of Education for Young Entrepreneur Institute. We have, like I said, some terrific books of different genres to make you think about the different paths that you can lead your kids on, no matter what kind of programming you do and what level. Um, you can get some brainstorming done, kind of level up, level down from whatever you hear. Our music today, you heard the little kids song here, Books, Books by Emily Arrow. And while it's a simple song to guide kids to book learning, I think it's a reminder about books, how they can and should surround all learning environments, both as a starting point to learning as well as supplemental materials to reinforce any and all content that we teach and share and build off of. And I love all of these examples so far, Catcher in the Rye, Outsiders for Teaching, anything by Judy Bloom. I met Judy Bloom several years ago. It was again like one of these like amazing experiences. I have a picture with her. I just cannot believe that she is who she is and has written what she's written. But yes, all of these things that have impacted us both as learners and educators. So hopefully today you can gather ideas for any and all purposes that books can have in your learning space. Um, so feel free to continue sharing in the chat, anything that you want to share, as well as questions that you have as we go. I will be referring back to it throughout the speakers and throughout the hour. And I do want to mention that we partner with an online platform called Yippee, which has many resources available, including some of the offerings that will be shared today by our speakers. Those can be purchased via Points for Educators. It's a grant-funded source for many types of materials and resources for educators, both in and out of school time. If you haven't investigated or registered for the Yippee website, stay on at the end of the hour. We can give you more information and answer any questions that you might have. So, a bit about today and today's speakers. First, we will hear from Kim Gorsuch. Kim is the founder and CEO of Weeva, a social publisher focused on collecting and composing important stories. Kim is a corporate culture and personal legacy storyteller with a diverse background in various industries. She received her MBA from the Wharton School and holds a bachelor's degree in chemistry and business from the Ohio Wesleyan University. Next, you'll hear from Bree Galbraith. Bree likes writing stories that inspire kids and adults to think critically about the world around them and the ways in which we can challenge the systems in place to create change. She uses her books as a way to amplify the voices of her children and those close to her. Bree holds a master's degree in creative writing from the University of British Columbia and a master's degree in communication design from Emily Carr University. She lives in the heart of beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, with her family and their dogs. After Bree, we will hear from Brenda Turner, who is a children's author dedicated to crafting stories that connect young readers to real-world individuals, places, and historical events. Through engaging narratives, she fosters curiosity and a love for learning. As an educator specializing in gifted and talented education, Brenda designs lessons that encourage students to think creatively and critically. Her approach incorporates problem-solving strategies, creative thinking skills, and STEM design challenges, inspiring students to explore, innovate, and grow. And we will also have a special guest spot after our speakers today with one of our own team members. We will hear just a short bit from Marissa Wilson about a YEI opportunity. So stick around for that at the end. And then just a quick reminder that we are recording this session. The recording slides and link from this Power Hour will be sent to you after the program. Like I said, feel free to drop any comments or questions in the chat during the session, and I will try to get to that kind of in between our speakers as necessary. And so yes, without any further ado, Kim, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Let me pull my slides up. Okay. So I am Kim Gorsuch. As Elizabeth said, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Weeva. We are a small publisher based in Austin, Texas. And our goal is to create books that inspire curiosity and playful learning in kids. We have two products on Yippee right now. One is a series that teaches kids about inventorship. That series has been on Yippee for about 3 years. And our second product, which has been there for about 3 months, is Mia and Tiago. And I'm going to focus today on introducing the Mia and Tiago series and the 6 secrets of successful startups. Our goal with Mia and Tiago is to teach kids 5 to 10 how to think like expert entrepreneurs. We partnered with Professor Saras Sarasvathy from the Darden School of Business, and we took one of her MBA programs that is incredibly popular with the kids and adapted it for elementary school children. Saras teaches the principles of effectuation, and there are 6 of them, and we have one picture book per principle. And those principles are designed to help kids increase the odds that their startups can succeed. So to just give you a taste, principle 1, which is start with your bird in hand, is all about using what you have readily to hand, what you know, who you know, the things you're passionate about, the things you love, the resources you have at your fingertips to come up with your startup ideas. And that is opposed to, for example, coming up with an idea or a problem and starting there. And what Saras's decades-long research shows is that founders who start with the idea of a bird in hand tend to succeed at a much higher rate. We then have one book per challenge. I'll touch on a couple of them as I talk through some of these slides. The big idea, though, is that it's a flexible 6-lesson curriculum that is meant to complement your existing classroom language arts programs, for example, but also other entrepreneurship programs. Saras comes at it pretty differently from, say, the lean startup or some of the other, really popular concepts. And we perceive Mia and Tiago as being a complement to those other ideas. So our goal is not necessarily to turn every kid into an entrepreneur. That probably doesn't work. But it is to teach the life skills that expert founders use that can be successful in any life path. So the series focuses on developing skills like critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, and you can use that no matter what you do in your life. We're also very intent to help kids understand how perseverance and grit and resilience influence how successful they can be at something in the long run. And everybody who teaches entrepreneurship knows you're going to hit obstacles like all the time. That's part of the deal. And what we want to do is help kids understand that and then adapt to that in ways that are very positive and that nurture a growth mindset and over time build confidence. This is meant to show you kind of how the storyline works. So in book 1, Tiago and his friend Mia want to win the moonshot contest at their school. And the prize is a trip to outer space on Jupiter 1. So it's a very big prize. Tiago is already dreaming about winning it. The only trouble is he has absolutely no idea where to start. And he has to come up with a good idea, and he needs to be able to do it and at least have a prototype within 6 weeks. Uh-oh. Okay, I picked up the wrong one, I guess. Well, that's okay. So we introduced the idea because the kids don't know where to start. Edison Eagle shows up to teach them one secret at a time. And in book 1, he shows up with Bird in Hand, which is all about using what's readily at your fingertips. And the idea is that the kids listen to the picture book that the teacher is reading to them, and then they work through the Entrepreneur in Me workbook. There's 1 chapter per book. This is actually showing you chapter 2, which is the lemonade principle, which is about what do you do when you hit obstacles, right? So they're inevitable. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them are big and hard, and some of them are easy. In this case, we're helping them adapt to an idea that simply didn't work. In book 1, the kids said, let's start a skate park. Well, it turns out that idea didn't work at all, and now they need to come up with a new idea. The books are also filled with founder stories of like real life founders who have used these principles. So Kaliko Wear is from book 1, and it's based in Ghana. It's a startup where they take trash, tires, and old jeans and turn them into shoes. And it's this amazing story. And we invite kids to think about like what resources are at your fingertips, even trash, and how can you use those? The other stories are intentionally kid-friendly. So Ice Hotel is a lot of fun, and it's all about creating partnerships. The Virgin Atlantic book is about affordable loss. Richard Branson's first startup was about Christmas trees, and the rabbits ate every single one. So he lost his entire investment right out of the gates. So that particular case is all about what are you willing to invest? And that includes resources, yes, but also time and energy and willpower and resources and relationships. And we invite kids to place what they're willing to invest and willing to lose in the context of their overall life. This is a peek inside from the Educator Guide. The Educator Guide is about 60 pages long, and it starts with here's what we're asking the kids to learn and also what they're expected to do. And then we walk you through a process for how to guide the class through the particular secret. And then in the Educator Guide, there are also questions that you can ask your kids. You can pick and choose the questions at work, or there are activities that you can do that reinforce the lesson. The other thing we do is highlight the social emotional learning aspects of the program, so you can zero in on those if you want to, or avoid them. It's at your choice. The program is meant to be very flexible and very adaptable so that you can adjust it to what your class can respond to. Here are some of the reviews. Like I said, we've only been up for about 3 months, and I think we've had 13 or so Yippee orders so far. And here is a sampling of what teachers are saying. So the thing that we love is that it's very relatable, and the kids are loving it, and the teachers are loving it. On Yippee right now, we have the full Educator bundle, which is all 6 picture books, plus the workbooks up to 30 for the kids, and also the Educator guide. And then separately, because we know that some of you have very large classes or want to repeat over time, there's a workbook bundle that also includes up to 30. And if you would like to look at some of the other reviews, you can see those on our Amazon store. It's up in ebooks. It's been up just a little bit longer on Amazon. And then we also have a dedicated website that'll give you a whole lot more information on me and Tiago. And I think I will stop there and see if there are any questions.
So there is a question in the chat, and actually it touches on something that Kim and I talked about that we wanted to make sure that we noted and highlighted here. And the question is there a specific reading level for these books? And then also, is it possible to use them in a different order? And I'll let Kim answer the second part. I know that we talked about the reading level. I'll actually let you talk about both of those questions and then kind of give my 2 cents and what we talked about. Because I know that you were having trouble kind of putting a specific reading level for Yippee on there. So if you want to talk about reading level, and then you can answer the order, and then I'll kind of give my opinion after seeing the book and kind of what I was telling you about my feedback.
So we're targeting it at K through 10. The early feedback is that 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds like the story a lot. Generally speaking, adults are reading the stories to them and talking with them about the content, and the students respond really well to that. 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders many of them can read it themselves. And then they can also very definitely work through the workbook activities. Having said that, we also hear that middle school and high school responds to the content really well. And because these effectuation principles are taught to, college kids and adults basically all over the world, the principles themselves can be taught to pretty much any age. In terms of can you start anywhere? Yes, you can. We tend to find that the story works a little slightly better if you go book 1 through 6, but you could definitely start with Super Ask or Affordable Loss, and that would be totally fine.
Yeah, I obviously picked these up thinking, well, these are great for younger kids. They're picture books and short and sweet, and you read them to the kids and they start thinking about, how not just what kind of money do I have to invest, what can I afford, but time, and it kind of covers all the bases. But you start thinking about this applies, I mean, these concepts apply to all ages, and you can do so much and expand and level up and level down and really make it age appropriate, depending on your group of kids and what your goals are for your group. So I even going into this kind of having that idea, once I started reading these books and looking at the teacher guide and the activities themselves, as an educator, you can really do a lot with the materials given and make that kind of customize them for your group for sure, just based on what's there. So, yeah. All right. Thank you, Kim. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, Bree, would you like to share about your books?
Definitely. It's a bit of a tough act to follow, but I will try to right now. Hi, everyone. My name is Bree. I am an author, children's book author, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So I'm so excited to be here. I'd never heard of the Institute before this, but I dug quite heavily into it, and absolutely awesome. I write a fiction series for young readers called the Wednesday Wilson series. Wednesday Wilson is a young entrepreneur. She is in 3rd grade, so this is for early primary readers, and this is a fiction series. is based off a lot of the principles that Kim introduced to you. And also, we didn't learn them through an MBA program. Me and my two boys were kind of addicted to Shark Tank. And really, that was something that we used to watch and still do today as a family a lot, probably too much. And that was something they got super interested in. And for a variety of reasons, and I'm going to share further in the presentation, we thought, let's write our own series. And so that's what we did. So Wednesday is for emerging and reluctant readers. An emerging reader might be a first grade reader who wants to pick up a chapter book. Maybe they've read Frog and Toad and they're just ready to go. And it may also be a more reluctant reader who could be maybe a third grade reader who hasn't yet come to reading books but really wants to. And it'll give them a sense of satisfaction because the chapters are small, short, pardon me, and heavily illustrated. So gives them that feeling that they're part of the reading community as well. There are 3 books currently out. There's one coming out in the fall, and there's a different business opportunity that she starts every book. So that's exciting. All right. So I started the series eons ago, as you can see from the picture. Those are my children when we first started. And they had a variety of their own reasons that they wanted me to start the book. They had never seen anyone like themselves represented in a book. They were huge fans of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. And they had some quite critical questions about that book, including why did you never see the inside of other people's homes if the person was a person of color? And I thought, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? So I really jumped pretty far into that in my MBA or MBA, pardon me, trying to be Kim, in my degree at UBC. I jumped really heavily into that and started to investigate that. And we came up with this series that shows characters just like them who are the protagonists and who are allowed just to be children. So things that are celebrated in each and every story, you can all read, they're down at the bottom there. But really a lot of it is about chasing your dreams and not giving up when you have those small hurdles, because it's not failure. I mean, you're going to fall on your face a bunch of times, but that's not failure because the ultimate goal is something so much bigger. And Wednesday learns that throughout each book. Now, she is also addicted to her own version of Shark Tank, which is called Eagle Eye in the series, and it is her absolute goal to be on Eagle Eye with the Eagles. So each book, she wants to get closer and closer and closer to that goal. And spoiler alert, she actually does. So, like I said, the books are very, very heavily illustrated. I'll just span through one here. Lots of pages have illustrations. And another awesome thing about it is that they have tons of lists, which are great for neurodivergent readers, and I'm finding great for young boys. They love the lists. And in addition to that, there are business terms defined throughout the book. There are about 5 business terms defined in Wednesday's own voice. So that can be pretty fun when you get to some of the trickier ones. So she's very driven, like a lot of kids are, to make money, to start her own business, to be your own boss, but also to bring people together. So it's not just about the money. It's about how far she can take one of her own ideas, and how many people she can bring together to see it come to fruition. So in each story, she has a that's it moment where an idea comes to her, but it doesn't always actually hardly ever works out as she plans. But she gets really used to finding creative ways to get through some of the barriers. And that is often includes taking advice from like a diverse group of people, whether it be adults or peers, or sometimes people that she thought was an enemy, she ends up learning a lot from. So in turn, she learns a lot about that for herself. I talked about the roadblocks. She also learns a lot about beliefs that she held or an assumption, and she kind of turns those over and throws them inside out and gives them a bit of a shake. So she goes through a tremendous amount of growth in each of the books. And that's thanks to the people around her and the work she does to become an entrepreneur. And like I said, she always gets one step closer to her dream of being on Eagle Eye. There's a lot of conflict in the book. I do like to talk about that because I find that's what teachers like to dig into. So there's conflict that's external, which is between Wednesday and a group called the Emmas, which are kind of like the mean girls. Their last name, there's 4 of them to begin. They spell mean. And she goes toe to toe with them for several books and then eventually finds they have a lot more in common than they do um, different. And she finds out a lot in all the books, and eventually her gaggle of friends grows and grows and grows because she realizes the more voices that you add to the choir, the louder and better it is. And then obviously between the business idea and roadblocks, there's a lot of roadblocks for a third grader to start a business that has money. You know, there's rules. You can't sell things on school property, she learns. But she gets around them. And then there's some internal roadblocks. She sells a lot. She shares a lot about her self-doubt and her inner monologues. Is her idea good enough? Do her friends like it? Is she kind of being bossy? Is she railroading people? Does she have what it takes to be in the industry, to be an entrepreneur? Um, those have been great for kids to realize everyone's having a lot of self-doubt, and really the answer when being an entrepreneur is to push through it. So if you would like to learn more, it's super easy. It's breegalbraith.com/Wednesday Wilson. And I always invite people to email me as well with any of their questions. And I'm really very much looking forward to book 4 coming out because it is slime. And I know slime is still going with the young folks. So we're hoping that one's going to be the big hit. And you can get these books anywhere books are sold.
Thank you. Yeah, I this was put in my hand. The second book in the series was put in my hand by one of our team members, and I immediately latched on to actually a number of things that you mentioned, but I loved the diversity of it, the accessibility of it, how it did play to images, and it was a fun read, right? It wasn't just a quick read, it was a fun read because of the lists and the pictures, and it kept you engaged. But it was also very purposely, like you mentioned, the visibility and the representation, and written for everyone. And so that is really important. And I love that you are consciously making that decision. And yeah, yes, we can put the website in the chat, absolutely. But also remember, all of these materials will be sent out. I will send all the presentations, the recording. You will get all of this in a follow-up email, but we can certainly get the website in the chat so that you can
I got it.
check
I
it
got
out.
it.
There you go. Yep. So yeah, so excellent resource, and perfect timing since the fourth one's coming out very
Yeah, exactly. Right
soon.
before Halloween, and then book
Yeah.
5 and 6 follow in the next subsequent year. So, and then cross your fingers for 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 50.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. Excellent.
Thank you.
Um, all right. And Brenda, would you like to
Yes,
share? Yep.
absolutely. Let me get this up. Okay. Hello, everybody. Um, so good to see you. I am coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm a gifted and talented teacher at one of, I guess it's like one of the 11th, it's the 11th largest district in our state. It's Virginia's public schools, and I thoroughly enjoy what I do. And I'm also a children's author, and then I also write differentiated content for classroom teachers to support them. So I'm here today to share with you about specifically young Sam Walton. I have 3 books that have been published: historical fiction, Cimarron Sunrise. Diamond Girl is a mystery that takes place at the Crater of Diamonds Park in Murfreesboro, Arkansas. And then Young Sam Walton is the biography of course, Sam Walton. I'm a big on research. It's my one of my favorite things to do. I can dig a big research hole in my backyard if I want to. So I enjoy that thoroughly. And one of the things I do sometimes is I'm inspired by my students. And I was inspired by my students for the characters and the setting for my first 2 books. But when I was working in Northwest Arkansas as a gifted and talented coordinator, some of my students for projects would want to research Sam Walton. And at that time, there was more limited availability of books that addressed his growing up years in an easy to read format for students. And so I started looking into what I could do for researching young Sam Walton. So I reached out to my publisher and then reached out to Walmart and started working some with the Walmart Museum. And it actually timed out well. This all came to be. It was the year that they were going to be celebrating what would have been Sam's 100th birthday. And so there was a lot of research already going on internally. And so the picture on the left of your screen is the location of what was his Bentonville five and dime. And then the location on the right is it's a photo of what was the first Walmart store in Rogers. That store then, like when I was writing the book, it has become like an antique mall. I actually went in and was strolling the aisles, looking at the old peeled tile floors and imagining what would have been like for that very first store and imagining what it would have been like, the excitement of opening it. So anyway, I started researching into it, and just one quick example to understand kind of the background and the thought that went into the book is like this was the picture I received of the house that Sam was born in. And then this is the illustration to show that on the first page of the book. And I even researched down to what was the waning moon? What would it have looked like the night he was born in Kingfisher, Oklahoma? So it was a great project, and I met so many wonderful people with that. But moving on into, let's talk for a minute on Yippee. So what I have on Yippee with the Young Sam Walton products is I have the hardcover book that I sign and I send out, and also a paperback softcover book. Additionally, I have his Sam's Rules for Success. I have those printed onto bookmarks, and there's a classroom set of bookmarks. And then I have a study guide, a 24-page study guide that goes with the picture, the biography. And then I also have STEM challenges, and you also receive all the materials you would need for these STEM challenges in your classroom. So those are the items that you receive, and that's included on the Yippee Exchange. So on the STEM challenges, the thing I love about those and with other things I do in my classroom is that anytime you have the children collaborating and working together and problem solving, it ties right into the 21st century learning skills of the critical thinking and creativity and the communication and collaboration. And sometimes that collaboration piece is one of the hardest I see my students encounter, especially the gifted and talented crew, because we kind of know everything, right? And it's hard sometimes to work together and to really give and take on those conversations and an end product. So I love that is also a part of his story and what I have in there. So in the study guide, I have all kinds of things in there, looking at it through the lens of just an educator. It has the discussion questions for each portion of the book and writing connections and extensions you could do. Also, there are biography items in there like graphic organizers and projects that you could do for biographies, whether you're doing a biography research project on Sam Walton or another individual. And I always include rubrics for all the work so that it's easy for educators to, deliver information and have students working, but then it's not a chore for your educators to have to try to assess and to get the grades on that. And so because the book it's a hardcover, picture book, and I'm sorry, I'm going to blur screen, put it maybe at my face and you'll see it. But I broke the content down kind of into what would have been Sam's early years on the farm in Kingfisher, Oklahoma, and then his accomplishments throughout his life, because he was very much driven and very accomplished even as a young person. The moves his family made, he had many moves throughout his life, the jobs he held, and then, of course, he had his 10 rules for success for business. And so, thinking through those lenses, I mean, it's easy to understand. You start to see through the book so many of the experiences he had really kind of helped launch him into the person he became, which was, of course, one of our all-time ever leading entrepreneurs. So here's a list. What I worked on and was working on his rules for success. But for children, the way they're written, I mean, the way they're written and made in America, um, compared to for what a student could understand, there was like a disconnect because they're not looking through such a deep lens. So what I did is I took those rules and worked with the museum and like how can we make these rules just apply to anyone. So we're going to look at this entrepreneurship using text. So I created a document for recording this, but first I just want to show you. So like here are the 10 rules for success, but they've been modified for students. And so I've got these student ones on your screen, but I've pulled oh, let me find here. So like if you look at like rule number 5, appreciate. So Sam's appreciate is appreciate everything your associates do for the business. Nothing else can quite substitute for a few well-chosen, well-timed, sincere words of praise. They're absolutely free and worth a fortune. And so then for the students, for theirs, I have appreciate what others do for you. Demonstrate appreciation for your parents, teachers, coaches, and friends for their influence and help in your life. So same concept, but how can they apply it to themselves? So on this document, this analysis document, I have the rules available so the students can have their own copy. In addition, I mean, they have a bookmark, but we all know how what happens with bookmarks. If you can 3-hole punch something and put it in a notebook, you might hang on to it a little bit longer. But I have the rules. And then what you can do is where can you find connections to others using these rules? So no matter what text you have, what are characters demonstrating that show these same successful rules to be implemented in their life? The other flip of it too, another page I don't have on the screen, is how can a student then read the rules and like what are you currently doing? How could you improve? This could be something that could even be like a self-analysis, like at the beginning of the beginning of the school year, and how they could evaluate themselves and think about how they could make improvements to be successful in their academic endeavors. And then another way to look at text is through the lens of jobs, because um, entrepreneurship is having those ideas and implementing them and then working through it. And so this analysis document is a way to look at characters in a book or individuals. It could be individuals. Maybe you're researching a social studies, different individuals. You could drop real people in here. You could drop characters in. So with the purpose of this, you read the text, you list characters that have jobs. And if they have a job as a child or a teenager, what chores might they have that they could complete this? So I completed one just using young Sam. And so really, because the book is all about young Sam Walton, his mom and dad are here. His dad was a farmer. He was an agent for a mortgage company. His mom also was helping with the farm originally. One job that's mentioned specifically to her is that she bottled and sold milk to neighbors. However, then we have the Sam Walton list of jobs. And I just want you all to know that Sam Walton started selling magazines when he was 7 years old. He went door to door selling magazines, getting a nickel for one kind of issue and a dime for another. And he did that to help his family with finance. So this is looking at it through a biography lens. But then I can't believe you talked to Judy Bloom and Elizabeth, that you met Judy Bloom, because guess what we have? We have fudge. Pita, uh, Peter and Fudge, Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. So I'm sure many of you have read this book. It was a favorite of mine as when I was a fourth grade teacher. But in that book, we have Henry Bevelheimer, the elevator operator, Peter's dad writing commercials, Mr. Yarby, president of a company. We've got Jimmy Fargo's dad, who's a teacher and a part-time actor. We've got the dentist, we've got the shoe salesman, a classroom teacher, and then we even have a little annoying brother Fudge who acted in a commercial and got paid for that. So this is one of those things where I think of, especially maybe read alouds, because on read alouds, as a teacher, we're reading to them, you have chances to opportunities to stop. These could be jot dots that could be done throughout maybe 3 or 4 books. And then you could lay out all, you could gather and the kids could collaborate and have critical thinking conversations like, what kinds of jobs are we seeing? Are we seeing medical professionals? Are we seeing educators? Are we seeing the entrepreneurs? What kinds of work are people doing? And looking at the work that goes around them all the time, and sometimes it becomes invisible to them. So that is kind of my approach with thinking about literature because I wanted to take it deeper than just, you know, Sam's great, but I also want us to know that no matter what piece of text, whether you're a high school teacher, elementary, in between, there's all kinds of tools there for us to tap into with that. So unless there are questions, that's kind of, what I have for you guys today. And I
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you for sharing the that nonfiction element, but also expanding on, what a little bit about what you can do with that. And I love just the variety. I mean, even in three examples, right? We can get such variety of this, nonfiction, but expanding out on it. I love this, like Wednesday Wilson, and she has a different business all the time, and the lessons that she can learn and grow through the series. And then, the guidance with the lessons of me and Tiago. I mean, just in these three, it just gives a lot of brainstorming abilities for all of us to kind of think what can we do with our programs and students and kids in whatever kind of programming we do. So, and thank you. Thanks for dropping all of this in the chat. Thank you all three for your presentations. Yes, I will share all of this in a follow-up email. You'll get the recordings, you'll get all of their presentations. And thank you all so much. This is a wealth of information. I think this is going to spur on a lot of brainstorming and thoughts. And I know there might be questions later. You might get emails sent. So thank you all so very much. I really appreciate that. And I do think yeah, Sheila, I'm totally on brain load overload with ideas. I agree. I think that this is gonna need to kind of like settle and simmer, and there will be much more thought later. I do want to make sure that we have time for Marissa to share a little bit. Maybe that can also let everybody have a minute if there are some questions in a few minutes for Brenda or Bree or Kim. But I want to turn this over to Marissa to just talk for a couple of minutes about the YEI pitch challenge for just a minute. So Marissa, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us and for our presenters who shared earlier. I just wanted to come on and let you guys know about our summer pitch challenge that is happening right now. So if you do have any summer programs that you're working on or know any other educators who have summer programs that are working on entrepreneurship projects of any kind, and maybe they want to give their kids a little extra boost. The pitch challenge is a great way to do that. Basically, students come up with a business idea and they record themselves in a 90-second pitch and upload it for a chance to win cash prizes. So it's a great opportunity to really exercise some of these creative ideas that may come through the books that they're reading, and a great way. It's really a great introduction to entrepreneurship, I like to say. Like, it's a great way to really get the feel for what it is and what skills you might need to move forward. So I'm going to drop a couple links in the chat. One is to register. If you're interested, it's just like a soft commitment. So I have you on my list and I can reach out to you and let you know next steps. And then I'll also drop a link to my calendar just in case you want to talk about it a little bit more and see, how the challenge could fit into what you're already doing in your programs. And then I'm also going to drop a link to our pitch toolkit, which really takes you through how to teach your students how to pitch, and how to basically get the final product to submit to the contest. So I'm going to drop that in the chat. The deadline this year is July 31st. So there's still plenty of time to work with your students and get them generating some business ideas and creating a pitch. So I would love to see some of you guys participate. If anything, feel free to grab my calendar and, we can talk about it. But thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify, there was a question in the chat. Is this only available in Ohio? No, this is out of school time is available nationwide. So just to clarify that. All right, thank you, Marissa. And I can also include all of those links as well in the follow-up materials if you're interested. So thank you, thank you. All right, and I don't see any other questions yet for speakers. I will continue with announcements. And if there are more questions in a minute, then we can feel free to answer them. We will be taking a break on Power Hours for July, and we'll be back in August with more great content. So be on the lookout for our newsletter and emails for our August date later in the summer. And then everyone in this session today can receive 200 Yippee points for attending the Power Hour. And remember, if you don't know what that means or how that works, feel free to stay on and we'll help you guide you through Yippee registration and how that all works and points and everything else. These points and funds are available to everyone who's here today, regardless of geographic area. I'm going to put a link to a survey for feedback in the chat. Please fill out the survey, share any positive, negative comments about today's session. I'm also going to put the code for the 200 Yippee points in the chat. So I'm going to drop that now. And we want to remind you that we work with the in the youth entrepreneurship space every day. We are here to help you. So please reach out at any time for anything. We desperately want to help you. We are here to help you. So if you think of any way that we can, or you don't know how and you want us to talk through kind of what you don't know, or you don't know what you don't know, and you want to just reach out and talk through what you do and want us to kind of connect and share how we think that we might be able to help you, please, reach out and we can have that conversation. So, yeah, if there are, oh, and Eileen wants to remind you we work all summer. Absolutely, we do. We work with summer programs, we work with out of school programs, we work with educators in the summer. So please, there's no restriction on time. So please reach out.
We do our professional development over the summer. We're always learning. We may see you out at some classes or have things to recommend. We have our newsletter. So if you still are checking your email, stay tuned to that. We'll share interesting things that we have to recommend. And thank you to Elizabeth, as always, for pulling together the valuable resources that are always enriching our tools for the class.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining and being part of this. And thank you again to our speakers. This was very valuable. So